The Chiefs have defeated the Baltimore Ravens by a final score of 34-20, and honestly, I did not expect it at all. Your initial thoughts?
How is the Lamar debate a thing?
Well,
It's very clear who's better.
Yeah, it's not anymore. And Mahomes is now 3-0 against Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, his total scrimmage yards from tonight did not even make up half of Mahomes' passing yards alone. Mahomes finishes with 411 yards and 5 touchdowns. And honestly, if just by looking at the score, you would have been like, oh yeah, the Chiefs, they handily won the game, but, it could be different. No, that game should have been like a 50-13 blowout if anyone was watching. Like, the Chiefs just kind of shot themselves in the foot a couple times, but if everything went according to plan, that was going to be a blowout.
Yeah, you should have taken 7 points off the board for the Ravens because of that stupid kick return touchdown.
Yeah.
And then added 4 for the Chiefs. And there were a couple Chiefs drives where we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot, like the Darwin Thompson fumble.
Yeah.
So add another touchdown for the Chiefs, and it should have been a bigger blowout than it was. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Lamar got exposed for the fraud that he is.
Yeah, I said Lamar's on fraud watch during the game, and man, he looked bad tonight. And something I wanted to point out is the offense. Everyone got involved tonight, really. I mean, Sammy was making really good, nice third down catches. Tyreek was open deep, got got that one really nice touchdown. Mecole Hardman even got a deep shot touchdown. That one was really nice. Kelsey was in there. Clyde was catching passes, 70 yards, 50 yards on the ground. I mean, just everyone got involved tonight, and we just looked great on offense.
Yeah, it was. The first half was flawless. The second half, we let him back in, and that was not good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, a win's a win, and Lamar embarrassed himself. So I'm happy.
And I got to ask you about your boy Eric Fisher's touchdown. Thoughts?
I mean, it's the most production he's had since he's gotten here.
Well, like you said,
might as well just play him at wide receiver at this point. He's a better receiver than blocker.
Yeah, better wide receiver than he is a left tackle, from what I've seen. But also another play that I thought was awesome was that little Sherman flip for a touchdown. That was a beautiful play.
Dude, you know they had to practice that so much.
I know Andy Reid comes up with so many new, just gorgeous plays. But something I didn't like about tonight was the fact that the run up the middle clearly was not working, and they just kept trying to force Clyde up there, and it was not working, and that kind of killed a couple drives.
Yeah, I feel like they wanted to get Clyde going. That way the Ravens defense would just have no idea what the Chiefs offense was going to do. There were a couple points where Clyde started to get going, but it really wasn't what they wanted with Clyde. But they should have just aired it out with Mahomes the whole game. But I get trying to establish the run game, even though in this game we clearly didn't need it.
Right.
But the Ravens defense, I think, is perfect for beating the Chiefs, in the way they play. Man-on-man, 2 deep safeties, blitz everyone, make the quarterback uncomfortable, and Mahomes still picked them apart. And I think that's really reassuring moving forward to know that they were able to do the exact game plan that you need to beat Mahomes, and they didn't beat him. That makes me feel a lot better about our chances moving forward, as if I didn't feel good already.
Yeah, and they did get pressure on him a few times tonight, but he was kind of an escape artist tonight. I mean, he got out of a couple what I thought were for sure sacks.
Oh, yeah. I think that the Chiefs would have won by a lot more if it wasn't for Calais Campbell. He was a one-man wrecking crew on that Ravens defense. Eric Fisher got smoked, but Mahomes had the pocket awareness to get out of that, and he just looked spectacular. That's one of the best performances he's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, we looked by far the better team, officially the best team in the league. I think I can say it now. And honestly, if we get out of this 6-week stretch where our schedule is kind of the toughest, I honestly would not be shocked to hear people with talking that undefeated talk, because if you get out of those first 6 weeks 6-0, the rest of the schedule is it's a cruise.
I mean, undefeated is obviously a very, very unlikely thing, but I'm not going to say it's out of the question if we play like this, and that's assuming we play like this, because, eventually we're going to go back to your standard Chiefs playing down to their competition like we saw last week.
Yeah.
If this team shows up every week, yeah, we're going undefeated, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, and it also depends on how healthy we stay. And while I'm on injuries, L'Jarius Sneed was pulled out of the game for what was called a collarbone injury. It didn't look horrible on my screen. He looked like he wanted to kind of go back in. I'm hoping if it's a break, that's going to be tough, but you get Breeland back after next week, and then they can just hold down the fort until Sneed comes back. I'm fine with that, but I would hate to see him go for a while. I'm hoping it's just a bruise or something, but that was really the only injury tonight. And then the defense, just really looked pretty strong tonight. Like, I thought the Ravens would pick us apart considering their run game and our weakness at linebacker. But, hey, even Neiman got in there with a sack. Willie Gay was getting in there. It looked okay. Lamar, he tried to run, but our D-line did a pretty nice job containing him. Taco and Dana were chasing him around a few times, and he just really had nowhere to go. And then, we all know Lamar's weakness is throwing, and that kind of showed tonight.
Is it weird to say that our defense actually looked better with Neiman?
It's not.
That's a takeaway I didn't want to have, but
yeah, it could just be by coincidence. But I've really enjoyed the secondary play. They've looked great. I love the Tedrick Thompson ad. Sneed looked good until he went out. Ward was fine. He should have had that pick, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt since he was wearing a cast on one hand. They look great. You don't really see much from Matthew or Thornhill, but Thornhill had some nice tackles. But like you always say, like, if you don't hear their names, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means they're not screwing up. So secondary looks good. Linebackers could use some work, but they looked good tonight. And then the D-line did their job. Pretty simple.
Tedrick Thompson looked pretty good. And Rashad Fenton, I thought he did solid.
Yeah.
Holding Hollywood Brown. Like you said, L'Jarius Sneed went down with the injury. He should have had the pick. Travarius Ward didn't come in until Sneed was hurt. And I think that's about it. Thornhill, solid. Tyron, solid. So I can't think of really any big takeaways in the secondary. Linebacking core, like you said, looked solid today. Hitchens had a couple big hits.
Hitchens looked great.
Neiman recovered a fumble and got a sack. Damian Wilson, what did he do?
He had a nice PBU. He had a nice PBU on like third down, I think.
Yeah. And then D-line, Chris Jones, monster as always. Taco Charlton gave Ben Neiman and Frank Clark a sack. So.
Yep. Another bad thing I wanted to mention. Harrison Butker has got to get his shit together. That was a pretty bad performance by him.
Yeah. I have a feeling there was something wrong with the turf, just because you saw a few guys slip and slide around.
Well,
I think there's something wrong with the M&T Bank turf.
On the second one, I think on the field goal attempt, I think the hold was shaky, so I won't pin that on him, but definitely not something you want to see. But in the end, it didn't really matter for today's game. I feel like we almost kind of covered everything right there. Is there really anything else significant that we need to mention? Oh, yeah, Marcus Peters got bitched tonight. That was cool.
Dude, that was so satisfying. Like, we both said Tyreek was going to make Marcus's bitch, and he did. Just seeing him go up and over Marcus. Marcus played it perfectly, and there was just nothing he could do. Tyreek is just better, and it was so nice to see.
Yeah, and on the Hardman one too, he was supposed to drop back there, but I think Mahomes looked at whoever the receiver was under him. I forget who it was, and Marcus Peters kind of moved one step in that direction. As soon as he did, Mahomes launched it to Hardman, and that was a touchdown there. So Peters looked like trash tonight, which was hilarious, even though I miss him kind of.
I have mixed feelings about Peters.
Yeah.
Peters is going to lose in those man-on-man situations, but his strength is being a ball hawk, and Mahomes doesn't turn the ball over in September.
Yeah. Mahomes' September stats are off the charts. Oh, yeah. I guess another thing I should mention, Mahomes now becomes the quickest quarterback to reach 10,000 yards. He reached that tonight, so that's pretty awesome. I didn't even realize he was that close already.
Yeah, I really wish he could have broke the touchdown record because he was on pace for the single-game touchdown record. That was something I was talking about at half that I was really hoping.
Yeah, because he had 4 at the – or 3 or 4, I forget. But he could have had one more, but Mecole had to drop that one, so that sucked. But, oh well.
But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Anything else we need to touch on?
I don't think so. It was just a good win.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess this is
typically.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, typically we'd be sitting here complaining about how we're playing down to our competition, but today that didn't happen. This is going to be the team that we reference when we complain about the team playing down to their competition. We're going to come back and say, why couldn't we be like we were against Baltimore?
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, I mean, we're not really complaining about much because I think the team just really had this game circled on their calendar. They heard all the trash talk. They heard all the analysts saying, "Man, the Ravens are just so strong this year. Great roster building." They came out and they curb stomped them. I mean, just completely curb stomped them. Made Lamar Jackson look like a fraud. Their defense was not what I was told by Ravens fans. Some like top 5. Like I still think they're a good defense, but whatever we were doing tonight against them, keep doing that because it was working. And I guess really this is the portion of the podcast where we just kind of go in on Ravens fans who were talking crap all year long leading up to the season.
Yeah, they're still doing it. Like, right now, I am talking to them, and the excuse they are sending at me right now is, well, if the Ravens had pass rush, Calais Campbell was in Mahomes' face most of the game, and Chris Jones was in Lamar's face most of the game.
Yeah.
Seems pretty even, if you ask me.
Yeah, and, oh gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. One thing I did want to point out, Marcellus Wiley said leading up to this week's matchup that he would take Lamar over Mahomes because Mahomes in the Super Bowl did not play that great. I'm not even kidding. This was his reasoning. He said Mahomes was not that great in the Super Bowl, and he thinks Lamar would have done a better job. But that doesn't make sense because, one, Mahomes still won the game in the end. Second, Lamar didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. He got outplayed by Ryan Tannehill in the divisional round. So you can't even use that argument. That was just something really stupid that I saw that I wanted to mention.
Well, the only thing that really changed with this game is we have more ammo to use against the obnoxious Ravens fans.
Yeah.
They're still going to be just as obnoxious. Big trust, woo-woo.
That annoys me so much.
And they're just saying, see you in the playoffs. You're not going to see us in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're going to lose in the first round, and then it's going to be funny. You're not going to get us.
Well,
it's not going to happen.
The key to these games against the Ravens are always get up early, take them out of their rushing attack, and force them to throw. And that's what we did, and it worked, and we won. It's a pretty simple game plan to beat these guys.
Yeah, they can't play from behind. It's because they're not used to being behind, and running teams don't typically make comebacks because you need to pass if you're going to score quickly and come back. And if you rely on running, which they run the ball down your throat, score, get the ball back, do it again, and that won't come back. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have a high-powered passing offense that's going to score quickly if needed. So that's why we are able to make comebacks, whereas Baltimore cannot. And that's why we are built for the playoffs, whereas Baltimore cannot. Our offense is a lot better to win in different situations. Meanwhile, the Ravens typically follow a script. That's why you've seen teams like the Browns be able to upset the Ravens. And one thing, you briefly mentioned it, but I really think that what happened last week was the Chiefs were going to use the same game plan to stop Tyrod Taylor that they used today against Lamar, and obviously that didn't work against Justin Herbert, so it ended up just being we overlooked them preparing for the Ravens, and I think that was pretty evident tonight.
Yeah, and the Ravens are simply a running team in a passing league, and I just don't think it'll work in the long run. I mean, they might have their one championship run, but the Chiefs are the team that's here to stay, and they are built to win these types of games. And then, yeah, like you said, last week, I mean, Herbert just kind of came out of nowhere, and they had never seen him before. They didn't really get to game plan for him. But also, I think part of the reason why this game was so much easier is the O-line was actually on their A game tonight. No Wiley, which I think was a good thing because they looked a lot better.
Next is Ryder.
Yeah, just got to get him out of there and put in Kilgore.
Yeah, and then I have Ravens fans saying that the Chiefs have a great interior offensive line for some reason.
Really?
Yep.
That was like literally our biggest weakness on the team.
Yep. It's so dumb.
I can just see you like scrolling through these dumb Ravens fans tweets while recording this.
Yeah, if I sound weird, like I'm not 100% there when I'm talking, it's because I'm just flabbergasted. Yep, Frank Clark is better and more talented than Judon. Yep, that's a real tweet that I just had.
That's when you know we did good. That's when you know we did good.
If they think that Frank Clark is better than Matthew Judon, they're delusional. They're just making excuses, and they're almost like LeBron fans. Like, when the Ravens win, Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL. Big trust, woo-woo. But when they lose, if we had a pass rush, if somebody could block, wah, he needs receivers, But when they're winning, Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson is the best duo in the NFL. But when they're losing, Mark Andrews sucks.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. It's funny because I'll be talking to Ravens fans, and they love to use this. You give Lamar Jackson Mahomes' weapons, he would be better or just as good. Well, here's the thing. The Ravens' offense is what it is, a blocking tight end duo that can catch a little bit, along with receivers that can stretch the field. So it's built around him in a way to where it's designed for him to be run first. Like, that's literally why. I mean, you guys are like, oh, man, he doesn't have the weapons. Even if he had the weapons, that doesn't make him a good passer. And here's the other thing, okay? Mahomes has been doing this his whole life. He's been doing it since high school. He's always been balling. And the Ravens always be like, Chiefs, way better weapons. Well, that's funny because whenever I see these debates from Ravens fans, they're like, Mark Andrews is better than Kelsey. Hollywood Brown is better. It could be the next Tyreek Hill. He's better than Mecole Hardman. Ravens have the better defense. Wait. So you're telling me you have the better tight end, the better quarterback, one of the best young receivers in the league, top 5 defense, yet we have better weapons than you. So which one is it?
It's funny because they talk so much shit on us every year. Every year for the past 3 years, it's been Ravens fans hyping up how Lamar is going to prove how much better than Mahomes Lamar is, and that the Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs and run to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And every year it's the same thing. We beat them, and then they take the punch, and then come right back. It's like, stay down.
Yeah, it's
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson? It's the same thing.
They're like the annoying little brother that always loves to play a fight and thinks he still has a chance, and you just keep like pushing him over until he finally gives up.
I talked about this earlier, not on the podcast, but I think you were there. But they've tried to have a rivalry with Mahomes and another quarterback so much.
Yeah, well, Clay
and
Travis.
It doesn't work.
Clay Travis tweeted, he was like, the NFL is really trying to, they're really trying to push this Lamar versus Mahomes as, like their big rivalry in the NFL, when really it's evident that Mahomes is just on a whole nother planet.
Yeah, they showed a graphic that I think, I might be wrong on this, but it was Star Unitas Marino Kelly instead of Marino Montana for some reason. And then I think it was Manning Brady, and then it showed Mahomes Lamar. Really? No.
I remember that. And also, they highlighted his numbers over the other guys who were clearly better quarterbacks than him.
Yeah, like, Lamar is not going to last. I'm not wishing an injury on him, but I think that Lamar is going to get injured, and then his career is going to be over.
Well, that's the thing, is
quickly
people
after
love
that.
to be like, oh, well, you can't say that Lamar's different. All it takes is one hit. Someone squares him up, he bends his knee the wrong way, he's done. I mean, these type of quarterbacks, we've never seen a quarterback last that long. Now, if you're only planning to use him in like a 4 to 5 year stretch, well, then that's fine, because I think he's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. I think he'll be fine. You can win games with him. But after a while, the hits are going to add up. And I've also heard Ravens fans say, oh, actually, he's really good at avoiding big hits and stuff like that. Well, he's still getting tackled. He's still getting brought down. Like, even when he runs out of bounds, sometimes you're still going to get that late hit or someone pushing you out, and just one of these days something bad is going to happen.
When has a mobile quarterback ever won the Super Bowl? I can only think of one that made it, and that's Cam Newton. And if you think that Lamar Jackson is anywhere near the dominance that MVP Cam Newton was, you are delusional. MVP Cam was on a whole nother level than Lamar. MVP Cam is like on par with like your great quarterbacks. But I think MVP Cam is the best mobile quarterback season we've ever seen, and he didn't even win the Super Bowl. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of any mobile quarterbacks. There's been quarterbacks who can run around to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No, run first. People say Steve Young and Russell Wilson, but Steve Young and Russell Wilson throw and threw the ball a lot better than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The only way Lamar gets a ring is if the Ravens win it the same way they won their last two with Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco, and they just have an insane defense that carries their offense. That's the only way he gets one.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, honestly. Anything else we need to touch on?
How about we move over to the other football team in Missouri?
Yeah, that's what I was ready to do. You can start it.
It's not as fun.
Yeah, you can start it.
It's not as fun. The drink era began against the Alabama Crimson Tide. We could not have possibly had a worse opponent to start out against. Welcome to the SEC drink.
Yeah.
You get Nick Saban as your first opponent.
Well, there were definitely some good things, and there were definitely some bad things. So 38-19 was the final score of that game, and honestly, that's about what I expected. It's not like, that's better looking than 42-0 or something crazy like that. Now, granted, a lot of our points, a big portion of our points came against Alabama's second team, but there's not much shame in that. I mean, Robinson, he had his ups and downs, and so did Bazelak. I expect Robinson to start against Tennessee. I thought he was hitting receivers a little bit better. In fact, he had like a 78% completion percentage, which was the best among SEC quarterbacks that week, which, that's like, I'm not saying he was the best quarterback in the SEC this week, but that's still pretty impressive. He's completing passes. He wasn't turning it over. And the O-line didn't really give him much help. But I will give credit to the O-line. They got better as the game went on, but they got punched in the mouth at first. You didn't really see much out of the receivers, but that's mostly because they didn't get a chance to throw him the ball. Chisholm and Hazleton, the grad transfers, who were really hyped up. They didn't do too much, but first game against Bama isn't ideal, so I'll wait to make a judgment on them. But Jalen Knox looked really good after a disappointing year last year. He was running around out there, making all kinds of nice catches. And then the defense, Jalen Waddle for Alabama is just unstoppable, man. The DBs didn't really have much of an answer for him. The D-line didn't get too much pressure, which was a concern heading into the year, but again, Alabama, like number one O-line in the SEC, I'm not too worried about it. They still got a few pressures. And then the linebacker core looked good. Devin Nicholson was a beast, and so was Nick Bolton, as always. And that's about all my takeaways from the game. Oh yeah, freshman DB Ennis Rakestraw, who picked us over Bama, didn't look too shabby in the game, starting as a true freshman, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically my take.
I don't mean to jump back to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But there's just a tweet that I got as you were talking about that is just laughable to me. So the guy who said Frank Clark is better and more talented than Judon tweeted again and said, "You actually think someone who has an attitude and ego and someone who can't generate pass rush by himself is better than Clark?" He's describing Frank
That's
Clark.
Literally what I was going to say. That's literally Frank Clark.
I just think that's hilarious. He's like, "You really think this loudmouthed, overpaid, overhyped defensive end who relies on the other D linemen to get sacks is better than Clark?" That is Clark! Anyway, so my thoughts on Mizzou is I know a lot about this Bama team, and I was right about Bama, but I honestly have nothing to take away from Mizzou because it looked like we were out there playing an NFL team. It's like putting a high school team up against the Green Bay Packers and asking the high school coach, "What are your takeaways?" "Well, Aaron Rodgers threw for 300 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say, we just got dominated. I could talk a lot about my takeaways for Bama because, like, Mac Jones and Najee Harris look great. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith are great. But, how does that really reflect on Mizzou? Like, Nick Bolton, as you said, he's a beast. Ennis Rakestraw looked pretty solid. But outside of that, what else do we really know?
Yeah.
And the biggest problem for me is, let's be honest, nobody thought we were going to beat Bama. With seeing Archie lead Georgia for a half, we thought maybe there was a chance. But we mostly knew that there was a 99.99% chance that Alabama was going to kick our ass.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to at least understand who the quarterback moving forward was going to be. My mentality as a fan and what it would be if I were a drink was I would have used that game as a preseason game. But the problem is you use preseason games to judge the strengths and weaknesses of your team. And usually you would solve QB battles in preseason. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to take away. It was just Bama kicking our ass.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what to say other than I really wish Mac Jones would have grad transferred to Mizzou.
Yeah, he did look great.
Honestly, Mac Jones is my pick for Heisman. I think he's going to have the season that Burrow had last year. Not as good, but I think he's going to be Heisman and national champ. But we're not here to talk about Bama. We're here to talk about Mizzou. And I think I said in the Mizzou group chat we were in, I honestly wish that either Robinson or Bazelak would have transferred away so that we'd have a clear-cut number one quarterback. Because my goal for this season is the same goal that Drink has. Win the SEC East and win a bowl game. A lot of people might say that's completely unrealistic, but I don't think it is, especially after how Georgia looked terrible against Arkansas for 2 quarters and Florida giving up a lot of points to Ole Miss. I don't think that Florida is really good. I think they're overrated, as they usually are. I think you could compare them to the Cowboys and how the Cowboys are overrated every year. I think Kyle Trask is good, though. But I honestly believe in this Mizzou team, and I believe in Drinkwitz. I'd almost compare the way he speaks to like a pastor or something, but he just inspires confidence. And I'm going to be really sad if his play calling is just atrocious. His play calling against Bama wasn't great. He did a lot of option, but I understand that because options are usually when you just like pull the stops out, especially when you have an offensive style like Drink. People were comparing him to Derek Dooley. Do not put that evil on me. But I do think that Drink, I almost got the feeling that he was overwhelmed, which I can definitely understand that. He has to recruit game plan against Bama on short notice without spring football. So he probably is overwhelmed. And moving forward, I would like to see him hire a offensive coordinator.
Well,
to really mold his vision.
Here's the thing. So one thing I did like was his aggression on 4th down. Two things. And also, they actually, come to think of it, were really disciplined, because last year watching Odom's teams, we got a lot of really dumb, like, unsportsmanlike penalties from, like, the DBs, like, talking crap after catches and just like really just like, oh my god, what are you doing plays. I didn't really see much of that this week, which is positive. And then also you also have to think like Drinkwitz only has his freshman class right now, the one that he patched up from Odom being fired, so he barely had a first class anyways. But there's like 10% of the roster is actually Drink's players. The rest of this is still 90% Barry Odom's team. So that's something you always still have to consider. But like I did like the pitch play where on 4th down where Robinson pitched it to, I think it was Beatty or Roundtree, one of the two. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was a pitch play, and I did like it. I thought it was a good play call, and I think that works against other teams. But I mean, when you have oh gosh, his name escapes me at the moment. Oh yeah, Dylan Moses, like out there chasing you down, like, I'm not going to judge. I mean, Dylan Moses is a freaking beast, and he looked fast as hell. And it's, like, again, like, it's Bama. Like, I'm fine with it. And then, one thing I didn't mention before is the running backs looked good. They were able to get some chunk plays against Bama with Roundtree and Beatty. And then another thing I didn't mention was the safeties looked really good. Bledsoe and Gillespie. Gillespie was out there hitting people hard, which encouraged me, and I think the defense looked good, despite giving up 38 points. But again, it is Bama. And I don't know much about Tennessee, but I know our defense will hold up against them. It's just a question about the offense, and I think the offense will eventually come around. So I was pretty excited from what I saw. I think Drink will do great here. You just got to give him a few years to really build his own team.
If I was the Mizzou defensive backs coach, I would feel a lot better preparing for Jarrett Garantano than I did preparing my guys for Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Like, Mac Jones is significantly better than Jarrett Garantano.
Yeah, and
I think we should be pretty good.
And we owned Garantano, not last year, but the year before. Last year, the team had completely given up on Barry by then, so I'm not even going to count that. But the year before, we absolutely owned him. I think we put up 50. I think we 50-balled him, and DeMarcus Acey had like 2 picks in that game, I think. So, I'm not scared of Garantano at all. If Drink just comes out firing with his guys and gets the receivers a little bit more involved, I think we can win that game.
I think that you can't really say anything about Drink until we play Tennessee. I feel like Tennessee is a very beatable opponent, and they're ranked. If we can beat them, that gets the attention of the poll. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we play Vandy after that. And if we don't beat Vandy,
I thought
the white flag on the season.
I thought it was LSU.
I think it's Vandy. Here.
I know LSU is on October 10th. I forget. Is that 2 weeks away?
I want to say, my bad. It is LSU.
Yeah.
It's LSU then Vandy.
Which I think LSU we might actually have a chance to beat. Don't take my head off. But
I just want to point out the fact that Tennessee is ranked 21 and LSU is ranked 20. I just think that's funny.
that's garbage, dude. I do not. I don't know why these people are so high on Tennessee every year. Now, they have been getting better under Jeremy Pruitt, but they're still Tennessee.
I still think we can beat them, and I think we can beat LSU too. The only teams that the only team on this schedule that I think we have absolutely zero shot at is Mississippi State. Mississippi State is going to murder us.
They looked really good. Wasn't Kellen Mond is their quarterback, right?
No, KJ Costello.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to say. I just the K I got messed up. KJ Costello. Kellen Mond is at Texas A&M. I always get those two schools mixed up. But he threw for like 600 yards. I mean, that's ridiculous.
He broke Burrow's first game record.
That was insane. So,
yeah, I feel like Mississippi State's going to be on Bama's ass for the West.
yeah.
But for the East, why not Missouri?
Yeah.
Why not?
Really. I mean, until they prove otherwise. I mean, why not?
If I was going to bet on who it would be, I would say Florida. But I think Mizzou can do it. I really do. I don't think that Sean Robinson is going to bang his receiver's girlfriend. And even if he does, we can put Connor Bazelak in.
Yeah.
Fuck Kelly Bryant. You
It
know
all.
what? Actually, I take that back. I'm glad Kelly Bryant did that because if he didn't do that, Barry Odom would still be the head coach.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Yep, so thank you, Kelly Bryant.
Well, anything else we need to go over?
Nope.
All right, well.
Oh, one more thing. It's really refreshing to see a good kicker at Mizzou instead of Tucker McCann.
Oh, yeah, Mevis looked
All right,
great.
that's it.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. Special teams in general looked pretty good. But, yeah, that's pretty much all we have. We'll be back next week with another Chiefs review and another Mizzou review. So hopefully they'll both be wins this time. But until next time, peace.